welcome back to Porous Borders. This is episode 16. I'm Andrew, and when this episode is released, I will have just arrived back in Australia about 6 weeks before I had planned to. I'm not sick, but I'm not allowed to go outside for the next 2 weeks, so the podcast is just going to continue as normal. The next month or so of episodes have already been recorded, and I'll be doing some more interviews over Skype while I'm stuck inside here. And I'll be working on a few other podcast-related things, which I'll be able to talk more about soon. In the next week or so, I also have a new Antoine record coming out. If you're interested in hearing that, you can follow my Bandcamp page or Spotify or whatever you use. It'll be on all of those platforms. And I'll have a little bit more to say about the record after it's been released. But for the moment, here's a quick sample of one of the tracks. Today on the show, I'm speaking to Duto Hardono, who is a sound artist based in Bandung, Indonesia. If you're in Australia, particularly in Melbourne, you might recognize his name because he was just in Melbourne a couple of weeks ago playing some shows for the AsiaTOPA festival. And if you're in Canberra, you might also recognize Duto's name from the Contemporary Worlds exhibition last year where they performed one of his pieces. If you're not in Australia, you might know Duto as the owner of the fantastic cassette label, Hasana Editions, which has been getting some pretty good press lately. In the past couple years, they've released work from people like Carr and Guthrie, and a huge number of Indonesian artists. It's an amazing label. I've listened to everything on it, and I absolutely recommend that you do as well, especially if you're stuck inside and have a lot of time to listen to records at the moment. Duto also teaches at Bandung Institute of Technology. He's a really interesting modular synth performer, super nice guy, and we talk about all of that in the interview and a lot more. So please enjoy.
It's a long story then. I mean, I grew up with a lot of. I'm very close with punk and skateboarding during my childhood. My family is not how to say it, like wealthy or into art.
Right.
People, they don't familiar with art or music. Even there's no stuff like that in my family. So I think I could be the antithesis with that. and yeah, since my junior high, I guess, when I saw something in the newsstand that catch my eyes and makes a lot of interesting stuff was one of the Treasure magazine's issue, and then oh, it's very cool. They show an athlete or skateboarder doing tricks on the cover, and then I pick it up and then look inside. It's very cool. This is very me, and then something like that. And yeah, since then I think that's the first time that I grew with this kind of stuff. A lot of punk music, punk and hardcore especially, and then starting then become more experimental, and lots of influence with the free jazz during my college years, and also all psychedelic folk and funk, something like that. And then yeah, it's getting the reference grow up, but it starts since I think my junior high, when I every day after I finish my school, being rushed to go home because I couldn't wait, or I don't want to miss for the MTV.
Right.
What did I say? What's the name of the program? MTV Extreme or something like that, when they show usually Warped Tour or skateboarding with a lot of music in the background, punk music and hardcore music. That's why there are a lot of skateboarding video that has a lot of cool music during my school year. So yeah.
It's surprising how many people say thrasher in the answer to that question.
Really?
Actually, yeah. What was popular in like Jakarta at that time in terms of punk and hardcore, like local bands and international?
I remember my very first experience. I remember on popular music, let's say, quote unquote, for the rock stuff, I guess, when my sister and I went to the record store. I was very little. I remember I was very little back then, and the store owner, the store person asked me, "What do you want? What are you looking for?" And both me and my sister asking for Scorpion cassette tape.
Okay.
Old hard rock stuff.
Yeah.
But we didn't know the name of the song or the album. But we both of us whistle it the song, because it's Wind of Change song with some track. And then we want to see this I want to buy this cassette by this band, but we didn't know which album or which song, something like that. And then maybe this one, and they play it. That's correct. And we both of us going back home is very happy with it. And I think since then my sister and I sometimes buying and sharing music or cassette tapes together, something like Bon Jovi or even more popular stuff like Vince Gill or something like that. But my personal experience with this kind of stuff, I think one of the very first out of nowhere strange stuff that I listened, probably Nirvana. Smells Like Teen Spirit in the Nevermind album. I think that's the first time that this is very new to me. And then I guess that's the new step for me with this kind of experience. During my childhood, Nirvana is very big, and some of my friends listen to like Smashing Pumpkins or something like that. Mostly grunge or punk is something big in Jakarta, especially.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's a gateway to a lot
Or
of things.
if you're not like Nirvana,
yeah,
you must be like Green Day or something.
Yeah, right.
That's our circle. That's
Okay,
our
okay.
friends.
Yeah,
During that time.
because Nirvana is one of those bands, like, just you can look at all the band T-shirts Kurt
Exactly.
Cobain wore and all those photos, and
Exactly. Yeah.
you know, you find like Sonic Youth or
Exactly.
the Meat Puppets or Daniel Johnston. Yeah,
Yeah, and especially it was the MTV years.
Yeah.
MTV period. So they showed the unplugged concert or something like that. So yeah.
So we were talking before about you were saying you studied painting for your undergrad, and then you moved to doing sound art in your master's degree. What was the reason you made that change?
I entered the school in 2002, and then art school, and I choose painting studio because I think one of the biggest period or biggest studio during that time is painting, and also a lot of important people and artists from history coming from the painting side, or maybe it's just popular, and maybe I just didn't know with the other stuff, but yeah. But during the period when I studied painting in ITB, I took a lot of inspiration from music. Actually,
Right.
It's always close to me. I mean, this kind of culture, punk, hardcore, and skateboarding culture. During my college year, even though I study painting in the very conservative situation with this conservative teacher, that you need to learn step by step. For example, like the modernism or the formalism method of painting. I always feel not too attached with that kind of stuff. I feel I've more easy or how to say, like convenience or comfort with stuff that I close with. I never made painting on conventional canvas, actually.
Right.
Yeah. So when they allowed us to create our own stuff or create our own works in the studio, I start with painting on found objects, especially old skateboard decks.
Okay.
And when I have my skateboard broke in half, I bring it to the studio and then paint it and assemble it, or making a collage with another object, something like that, and I paint it. And sometimes making a collage using clothes or fabrics and sew it together, paste it on the found object, something like that. But what I think I was one of the most rebellious student in that period, because I didn't follow the conventional how to say methods or aesthetics, something like that. But so yeah. It's always big influence in my works as an artist, and I graduate the bachelor program in 2007, I guess, 2007, and then I got an offer from the university for a scholarship for the master, and then attend my master program in 2008, I guess. But in the master program, they don't give you a specific quote unquote studio or major techniques or medium, something like that. You can choose your own ideas or projects, and that's why I proposed to the school that I have this things that always inspires me, it's my music. I guess the stuff that I love, and I want to learn more about. I want to do research more about the how to say it, like how the history of sound in the arts actually, because how it become visual art, part of the visual art, how sounds become a sound art, something like that. So yeah, things since my master program, I getting involved more into this kind of stuff, and then learn more and understand more. Another reference grow up with it, and yeah, yeah, it's all about. It's also because all of the academic stuff that made it into like now.
So that you're living in Bandung that whole time.
Since 2002.
2002. Okay, so that seems to me like it was quite an interesting time in Bandung's music scene as well. Were you involved in making music or going to shows or?
I went to shows often actually. In Bandung in early 2000, we have this. What's the name of the club bar? Classic Rock.
Okay.
Classic Rock Cafe. They often showing indie musician or experimental musician every month. There, I remember I saw 666 from Jogja playing there. Also, some bands that now very famous like White Shoes and Couples Company, and also what else? Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, some of that indie people, and but yeah, I made zines, something like that.
Okay.
And yeah, I'll making playing in band, cover band, something like that, but it stay in school. But never doing serious stuff during my bachelor years.
So now with your music, you're primarily working with modular, right?
How to say, it's not really. I mean, it's a transition actually.
Okay.
Since 2008, since my year entering the master's program study, I work a lot with still a lot with found object, especially for sounds, especially tapes, and mostly using all reel-to-reel tapes.
Right.
And yeah, during working with my sounds installation or sound works, I always implement that kind of artifact or obsolete technology into my installation, hack it into some kind of installation using tapes or any kind of obsolete technology like a vinyl record, something like that, and then but mostly tapes, and also perform using open reel tapes, doing live, hack it, record, and manipulate all the tapes for a solo performance, something like that. And yeah, I got a chance to do a residency in 2010 when I visit in Tokyo, and then when I was there, I pick up old open reel machine and bring it back, and since then I work a lot with that kind of stuff. Until 2016, I guess. I changed my machine a couple times, but until 2016, when I coming back from a concert from Berlin, I brought my machine back with me, and it's my mistake, I guess. I put it on the not in cabin but in the baggage, and
okay.
I think they drop it or something, and when it's arrived, it's
that's awful.
the handle's broken, something like that.
No.
But it's already not in the prime condition, because
Sure.
I often hack it during my live performance. But I think that's the time to retire this
Right.
kind of method, but transcend it into one of the instrument that I've been wanting for years before, modular synthesizer. But before that, I have a lot of experience too with synthesizers during my college year. I think one of my very first instrument that I bought with my own money was Carr MS-10.
Okay.
I think I sell my work, something like that, and then okay, let's buy this
Okay.
stuff from eBay or something like that. And then they ship it to me. This is historical artifact, historical technologies, and then sometimes performing using synthesizers under one main project band, something like that. And I always want to build a modular system before, but it's too expensive for me. During that time, the manufacturer of the Eurorack modular is not many, so only maybe Guthrie or Make Noise, something like that. It's very expensive, but nowadays it's getting cheaper and easier, I guess. So that's why when I got into the modular synthesizer, I also bring the previous aesthetic and inspiration from the earlier years using tapes. That's why I built my system into something that also resemble the machine of tapes, the tape machine, or the stuff, the modules that can record and manipulate all the stuff that and mimicking what I can do using the open reel tapes or something like that. It's always based on the previous experience.
Yeah, I've been wanting to ask you about a bit about your setup, maybe, because I think I've seen you perform 3 or 4 times now. It seems like what you're working with is quite small, like quite physically quite small, but there's a very big range of sounds you're able to get out of, and it seems like you've probably spent a lot of time kind of dialing it in and working out what works for you. And I think also your performances are, you know, you hit things with a mallet and stuff like that while you're playing, and it's quite interesting. It's a little different to watch maybe than a normal modular performance, which is just turning some knobs or something. So can you talk about your setup a bit, maybe?
Yeah. Since the beginning, I'll always I think it's also from having inspiration during my study. When I study a lot of people from music concrete or the minimalism artists, things like that, and since the beginning, when I going into this building a modular system, I always have these ideas that this machine need to accommodate me with this kind of stuff, very specific, sometimes physical, sometimes pretty strong in the music concrete aspect, to build this kind of situation, to build this kind of method of sound production. And I think got this idea from the beginning, also during the using the years using the tape reels, and I think that's the most important stuff when you're starting to build this kind of machine, because if you're not know what you're gonna do, you don't have ideas what you're gonna build. It's too, bro, it's too big. I mean, it's very,
especially now, right? There's so many manufacturers and so many modules out there.
And I think I'm pretty lucky to know it since the beginning, and also got some suggestion from other people or other artists that start small, start what you want to do with this kind of stuff. And yeah, I decided to build this my own way, which module, which stuff that I need. But yeah, it's happens step by step.
Yeah,
since the earlier years.
I feel like in the past year or so, maybe it seems like there's more and more of a modular synth community kind of growing in Indonesia, especially in Jakarta, maybe. Are you part of that at all?
Yes or no?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they invite me to do to join this group, but yeah, most of them also my friend, but I always not that comfortable if I connect to this kind of, we call it a comunitas or something like that, because people usually always bring these ideas to yourself. When you want to create something else, you always connect it to this kind of group or community or something like that. I trying to avoid it actually,
right,
as an artist.
Yeah.
That's why I keep communication with them, playing with them, and having interaction with them, but also trying to how to say it, like take some space between us to not to become like that's the main thing for me.
Right.
I think as an artist, it's very helpful. It's also very how to say it, maybe safe or challenge you sometimes, because when you're comfortable with only one things, I think it's dangerous for an artist, and that's why I just how to say it, like trying to make my tentacles everywhere.
Right.
So
yeah.
it's very important for an artist, I guess.
So that you're not just a modular person.
Yeah, exactly.
Doing a lot of
exactly.
other
I don't want to people think myself as this kind of specific artist, a modular artist or video artist or musician or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, not comfortable with that.
Yeah, because I mean, even your training is in more than one form, right?
Yeah, that's the interdiscipline, or how to say it, the trying to taking a lot of inspiration from many backgrounds and then make it into
that's interesting. I think I'm curious to ask you about your experience in Australia. So you've had a couple of projects there recently, and one coming up next month, right? When did you start going? When did you start getting invitations? And
as an artist, I think people know me better as an artist rather than musician or the guy behind Hasana Editions or something like that. Because I grew up with coming from the academic stuff. And also practically I work as an artist since 2000. Yeah, professionally since mid 2000, early 2000. Having exhibitions, doing residency or exhibit in biennial in Indonesia or abroad. And so yeah, people consider me as a visual artist. And so yeah, this networking for this past decade, and people recognize my works. And yeah, I think since then got invitation for residency or doing exhibition abroad. Yeah, that's the normal artist work, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah, last year this gallery, NGA, National Gallery of Australia, have this new program they want to create. They said they want to create this kind of biennial thing, but only focus on one country. And starting last year, their program start, and they want Indonesia. They wanted in Indonesia as the first country that exhibit. The program called Contemporary World Indonesia, as the closest neighbor to Australia. And the curatorial team from NGA picked several artists from Indonesia. I think about 30 artists, somewhere like that, and showing their works, doing performance, do artist talk there, having seminars, something like that. And yeah, I was one of them, luckily. And I think these projects start in, they talk about it in late 2016, but the exhibition happened in 2019. But yeah, the interest to one of my latest work, working with instructions and how I present the instruction using several actors or interpreters, and then present it inside a museum or gallery, things like that. And then yeah, I showed the work, the piece, variation and improvisation for Harmonia Progressio. That's the title.
Right.
And yeah, it's collected by the gallery too, as a permanent collection. And then yeah, that's the last one. And I supposed to visit there again, NJ, last month, but unfortunately there's a forest fire, and then everything's postponed, pretty chaotic. But yeah, next week I'm going to Melbourne, hopefully. Yeah, no other stuff.
No more fires.
No more fires for the AsiaTOPA.
And are you presenting the same piece?
No, I think this one is more solo musical performance.
Right.
Not. I think they invite me as a musician, not a visual artist this time. So, yeah.
Yeah, and maybe I can ask you like what you have planned for, or what if people are going to see you, what would they expect to see from your performance?
For the show in Melbourne.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's still not fixed. I mean, the invitation starts from Wowo, Mas Wowo from Jogja, and Thomas Lombard, one of the curator. It's part of the AsiaTOPA, but I think it's Fringe programs or something like that. And they want to create this I still don't know what gonna happen. They want to create this kind of installation or activities that involve public for people, and then doing a collaboration with locals maybe, or having happenings there, doing shows or interactive installation or interactive projects with the locals, and supposed to last for 1 to 2 weeks. And yeah, I'm still not sure what's gonna happen.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. So
okay.
yeah.
They're gonna be music. They're gonna be installation works, and also video or maybe food. Maybe I'm not sure.
And it's the Abbotsford Convent. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
everything.
Maybe we can shift a bit to talking about the label.
See. Okay.
So Hasana has been a project of yours for quite a long time. Can you tell me what it was in the beginning? And
Yeah, I think it started in 2009, 2010 during my master study, and yeah, it started as an extension of my quote unquote visual works when I was using sound installation and that kind of stuff, but I also perform using synthesizers, the vintage synthesizers, as a one-man band called Husnan. I took the name that guy, and then I create this. I start this Hasana private press in the beginning. I call it private press because it's very personal. I mean, I create the packaging by myself, dub it using my tape players, and release my own music, actually, the Hustan music. And then having friends from abroad coming to Indonesia and doing show together. My friends from Ini Itu from Belgium, Ini Itu Records, and then we doing releasing a split CDR or tapes, and yeah, it's all started as an extension of my visual artworks. That's why the packaging is very, how to say it, like very details. It took a lot of inspiration from the Fluxus boxes. As the music as an art object or something like that. That's why it made it into a box and a lot of stuff, not only the tapes inside it, and yeah, I started releasing works from other musicians. The first time was I met Haikal Azizi, Bin Idris. One time we shared a gig in Bandung, and the first time I saw him playing the guitar under the name Bin Idris, it's blown away. Oh fuck! This is awesome. This is something that I always want to release. Something. Unfortunately, I couldn't play guitar. His music reminds me to old Robbie Basho or John Fahey, or yeah, something like that. And then after the show, I talked to him. The first thing that I say to him, hey, do you want to make a tape for me? Something like that. And then I asked him to, okay, oh, sure, of course. And I released his music, and I think it was only 40 edition or something, edition of 40, not much, but sold out immediately. And yeah, I remember the packagings using the guitar strings, and it's very, very, how to say it, very the Fluxus way.
Mm.
And yeah, a couple times still releasing stuff until I'm busy with something else. I think in 2015 I got married in 2015. I live in between cities, Bandung and Jakarta. Yeah, and I need to change the way I work from working in the studio space, working with objects, into something more mobile, working with instruction, writing text course or something like that. And yeah, the Hasana Press become vacuum or defunct for a while, not so active anymore, and I decided to kill it until I revitalized when I got this grant from the university.
Right.
So yeah, in 2017 or 18, yeah, the university that I work in, they have this program for teacher, for the lecturer there, for research or for their practice, something like that, and then research and development too. And I proposed these ideas about this label in my mind during that time. I proposed this idea about documenting sound artists or performance artists in Indonesia, because I told them that archiving this kind of practice is pretty difficult.
Yeah.
Compared to conventional artists like a painter or sculptor, which is more, I think it's easier for them to having a proper catalog or proper archive. But for sound artists or for experimental musician, it's pretty hard still. And yeah, that's the earlier proposal. That's why I proposed I want to create this publishing that focus on sound artists, performance artists, or experimental musician, create some kind of like quote unquote label and release their stuff, make it into accessible objects like cassette tapes or CD, or even release it digitally or something like that, so people can access it easily. And they said yes, and then since then I revitalized this idea, and I released Riar Rizaldi and Mahesa the first time, the first artist that I published with Hasana Editions. So yeah, since then I grow up. Also, one of the main ideas with this project is connecting Indonesia to outside. That's the most important thing. So yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of the Indonesian artists you've done releases for, like I'm thinking of the Julian Abraham one maybe specifically. It's experimental music and it's quite interesting, and like the method of it is quite interesting, but the sound of it is very Indonesian, right? It's not something you would probably hear from an artist based somewhere else unless they're very interested in Indonesian traditional music or culture, right? Is that something you've thought about, like that you want to have artists that are Indonesian in character, that have a particular sound, or?
For me, that's not important. I think sometimes we trap in this kind of the characteristic that sometimes become exotism, or things like that. I'm pretty aware with this kind of stuff, that trying to avoid it. especially. But I think the approach that I take, why I choose this artist, are because of the how's it their methods or their backgrounds are very interesting, and also you never hear this kind of stuff somewhere in Indonesia. So it's coming from Indonesian artists, but it's not a traditional music or modern music in general, something like that. Our first two release was Riar and Mahesa. Both are having computer music approach, and with Togar, it's a visual art approach. It's actually an art installation, but it creates sounds, and it's very interesting to capture, to archive it as a one specific catalog in Hasana Editions, and this is the sounds that created using this installation by Julian Abraham Togar, and you can enjoy it as a music. Let's say so that kind of approach, and also when go to Yadi Nur Salim Yadi Anugrah from Pontianak, he worked with this chamber opera, but when you take the opera and then put only the music, it's experimental music or something like that. So yeah, that's very interesting. I mean, Indonesia is very rich with this kind of stuff actually. If you want to say the traditional music, Smithsonian Folkways released 20 volumes of Indonesian music, and they say that's the biggest archive that they have, because every island, every area in Indonesia, it has its own music. It's different to each other. Music from outskirts Jakarta, music from Papua, or funeral music from Sumba or something like that. And yeah, that's the reason. I mean, we already have this kind of stuff, but how about the more contemporary one? Especially since this is more academic project too. I want to this kind of element appear in this project, something to discuss, something to showing what happens nowadays in contemporary music in Indonesia.
And you have a few artists from other countries who have released material on your label. I think, like, for example, Will Guthrie has a strong connection with Indonesia now as well. Like Kate Carr is another Australian. How did those relationships happen? How did you end up working with those people?
The first, some of them I met them personally, like Will, during the tour a couple of years ago here, and then still keep in touch. We did a show together, and then still keep in touch since then. And then I asked them, "Hey, how about you? Just stuff for me," and then things like that. And some others, because I really love their works, and I consider this could be a Hasana Editions works. I mean, and then I invite them, and they would love to do it. But mostly it's always start that I want to release something that I love. I mean, the artists that I love, the works that I love. For example, Ryoko Akama, when she decided to collaborate with other artists, it's up to them. It's up to her, and
Right.
of course, I will love everything that you submit to us. And yeah, it's start from everything that inspires me, and also the trying to drawing the connection across these regions, and step by step trying to build this kind of networking and bridges between this kind of activities and making a conversation with it. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Can you tell me about the visual style as well of the, so like you have
The design.
a very particular style in the design, right? That's
Uh-huh.
it's very striking. You know what it is straight away when you see it.
I always, yeah, I think it's since the Hasana Preferred Press that took a lot of inspiration from the Fluxus boxes. It's similar, this kind of stuff that I want to publish it as an art object too, also. And it's just the designs, I think, is pretty minimal style, and become like a spotlight when you saw it. You directly recognize, this is Hasana Editions stuff. But yeah, I guess I always love the aesthetic of the what's the name of the journal, the Situaciones
Okay.
International.
Yeah.
Situaciones International journal.
Yeah.
Where I remember I think I visit exhibition in Gallery of New South Wales, and I saw this Situationist journal, and they cover they have this their journal with metallic cover, and it's this very striking visual, just simple words, Situaciones International, and it could be ideas for my project in the future or something like that. And yeah, I think I stole it from them, and yeah, I made it into gold and silver color, gold for the odd number and silver for the even number. Oh no, or yeah, vice versa, something like that. But yeah, that kind of simplicity that's but still striking visually. Yeah, I consider it as an art object too. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think you've had like the label has got quite a lot of attention from around the world in the last year, probably.
Yeah, it's surprising, eh?
Yeah. Have you done a lot of like reaching out for press coverage or anything like that, or is it just like a organic thing?
Yeah, I send stuff. I always send my works since the earlier year of Hasana Private Press. I send some to my favorite publisher, like The Wire magazine, something like that. And sometimes they catch up. Oh, this is something good. I think a couple of Hasana Private Press tapes, they put it on their blogs, I guess. Because the design's very they think it's nice, and yeah, based on that kind of networking that I have before, I send some samples or copies for them, and also some radio shows or others media that I usually aware and also usually read, usually enjoy. And luckily they catch up with it, and they really like it, and contact me, and then share it to their friends, and then their friends tell it another friends, and so on and so on. Yeah, that kind of networking that I hope happened from the beginning and happens now is I'm very thankful for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did it by myself because it's a solo project, something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, from the design and also this kind of PR works.
Yeah, it's great to see it getting so much
Exactly.
attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. I wanted to ask you a little bit about your teaching as well. That's kind of your day job, right? You teach in the Institute of Technology in Bandung, primarily within sound art, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess I'm curious, like what you see in your students, and maybe like what they're interested in, and where you think the direction of sound art in Indonesia is going based on what you see from the younger generation.
I see. Yeah. I see that the younger generations, especially the students that I have in touch with, there's a lot interest in especially sound art every year, because it's become more popular, and also people are more aware about this kind of practice. Over the years, we have this kind of interest larger and yet larger over the years, and some of them already have this aspiration to become a sound artist, something like that. It's very interesting, and yeah, as studio activity, still lots to do, stuff like that, and I think since the early 2000 maybe that we become more aware about this kind of practice. We often see this kind of works appear in the exhibition, or artists perform it or something like that, and then, but still, even though in the academical background, we still have this kind of misconception or misleading stuff about what is an artist or what is not, what is music or something like that. But it's very interesting, especially in Indonesia, because we have this very broad culture, especially with this kind of music activities, and the way how we approach, how we enjoy our, how we should experience sound piece stuff. Yeah, I think it's even though all this practice or activities happened since before the 90s maybe, when artists starting to assemblage sound element inside their installation, or maybe creating concrete poetry, but they didn't realize it that this is a sound art or something like that. But the phrase become more popular in the 90s, early 2000, and people become more aware about this kind of practice, and also this kind of method. And yeah, the students very much into this kind of stuff, this kind of method and ideas about sound as a visual art. So yeah, it's always interesting and challenging at the same times, because it needs you to change the way you experience, how you experience the visual arts truly. So yeah.
What kind of work are your students interested in making, or what things are they interested in exploring? Is it a lot of studio practice or field recording? I mean, there's so much like interesting sound everywhere in Java, especially, right?
Yeah. For my students, especially in intermedia studio, they don't have a main focus method until they work with the final project.
Right.
And mostly for final project, if it's the most often, I guess, video,
Right.
video art, and sometimes things like animation that
Right.
accompany with the video, and sound art, and the least one maybe performance, or sometimes they create interactive games, produce like a video games, but it's
Right.
an art as an art. So interactive video installation more, so
right.
something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, still video is the most popular, I guess. Till now.
And what are you, for yourself, what are you working on at the moment? Besides the performance in Melbourne, are you...
I'm going to have an exhibition in CAC Lithuania next week. But they're gonna show my instruction work piece,
Right.
Instruction score, and they asked me to send them several instruction scores, and every week there will be audience that participate to actualize the piece actually. So it will be interesting. The curator takes the ideas of the collection of the Fluxus cabinets and boxes in the CAC Lithuania. They have a lot of this collection of Fluxus. And yeah, I think they bring this exhibition together. So yeah, let's see.
Yeah.
That's the recent one, I guess.
Yeah. And we're in your house at the moment. I saw before you have some new modules you're working with. Are you incorporating those into your setup, or just kind of trying some things out?
Which one?
These ones here. Yeah.
Oh, right now?
Yeah. Are these are new, or these are things you're testing out? Or?
Yes.
Yeah.
A couple of it new one that I haven't have my hands on with it, so that's why every weekend, sometimes when more times available than the weekdays, and then yeah, I try to figure out how it works, trying to manage how it's gonna implement to other composition or something like that.
Right.
So,
yeah. Cool. This might be my last question, but I usually like to ask people, particularly people who have been active for a long time in the arts here, what's new that is exciting to you or interesting, or what are you seeing in Indonesia that kind of is exciting to you, I guess?
Okay.
Or releases for the label that are coming up, maybe by
younger
people.
I see the atmosphere now, especially in the experimental music, or let's say the artistic practice in general. It's way more interesting than before, especially in the experimental music. People could access any information very easily because of the internet, and yeah, the public also learn much faster, and the audience learns much faster about everything, and they have a lot more experience and reference than before, and different kind of point of view, and mix it together. So it's always interesting, the political situation also something that interesting too. And yeah, we live in Indonesia where the political situation is always the main issue here. Yeah, and I see it a lot of younger generation also very brave of younger generation to speak out their minds, speak out their what they think about specific ideas and trying something new. And the facilities around them help them a lot, and it's very good to see. And still, I think some issues about how to say it, like but it's more into in academic background where things from the past sometimes misleading, like the ideas about sound art or something, how to we explore sound arts, that it's not only about how to say it, like blind hearing, but when you experience an art object, or even though it's sound art or just a painting, you need to experience it with your whole mind and your body, something like that. Yeah, that kind of situation where when people sometimes tell things that when you play music and it's a bit noisy, when you play guitar but you don't play it the way the guitar should be played, they call it sound art, right? It's, yeah, something like that kind of ideas, but it's always challenging. It's always challenging. Yeah, that's always interesting, and of course, it's always make a very interesting discussion, especially here in Indonesia, where the modern and the tradition perspective always become a clash and make some kind of interesting context for a discussion. So yeah, that's the very interesting stuff maybe with this country. And for the upcoming release for Hasana Editions, I suppose we will have new works available in April, maybe.
Right.
Hopefully in April at least, because I will be busy in this couple months.
Sure.
It's a one-man operation. So,
Yeah.
And one of the artists is Sarah Hines from New York. Very amazing artist, and there gonna be a couple of other release, possibly cassette tapes. Sarah will have a CD with us, and
is that the first CD?
First CD. Yes. And also there will be, I think there will be a book or artist book, zine.
Okay.
But I cannot say the artist name first. But yeah, we're still in work with it. But yeah, let's see. Hopefully everything could be finished and be ready at the same time, so we can release it as a batch. But yeah, that's it.
Cool. Exciting. I'm really looking forward to hearing that.
Thank you, Andrew. Yeah.
Great. Is there anything you think we should, that we haven't covered, or anything you want to promote that you
I don't know,
working on, or
yeah, the new Hasana Edition maybe, or I just want to remind that people out there that we're in the very dangerous situation about this climate crisis maybe. So yeah, make sure that you're aware about that too.
And you feel it, especially being in this country, right? With
exactly
flooding and
exactly
we just crazy things.
This another plastic, huh?
Yeah.
But
cool. Thank you very much for doing this.
Thank you so much,
Great
Andrew.
to talk to you. Yeah.
Thank you so much. My pleasure.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to this episode of Porous Borders. If you're interested in exploring more underground music from the Asia-Pacific region, you can check out my YouTube channel, Concrescence Records. You can find the link to that in the show notes. If you like the podcast, please subscribe, rate, and review in the iTunes store. If you have suggestions or feedback and you want to get in touch, you can email the show at porousborders@gmail.com. You can also find me on Instagram at @ANDRWMH.